Hey, have you ever, I don't know, noticed how a good surprise can totally change how you feel about something?
Oh, absolutely.
Whether it's, a plot twist in your favorite show or a surprise party, those moments can really shift your perspective.
They really do, yeah.
And, artists, they've been tapping into the power of surprise for centuries. So today, we're taking a deep dive into art, emotion, and the Greek genius for surprise.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I mean, what's fascinating is we're kind of wired to crave the unexpected. I mean, it makes our brains perk up and pay attention.
It's true.
And artists, especially the ancient Greeks, they figured out how to use that to make their art, really hit us right where it counts.
Totally. So let's unpack that, shall we? Our first stop is a painting you might know, Caravaggio's Supper at Emmaus,
Right.
which is a scene straight out of the Bible, but with a little twist.
Right. So imagine this.
Mm-hmm.
It's the 1600s. You walk into, this dimly lit church, and bam, suddenly you're met with this incredibly lifelike scene. A table, everyday people, just like you and me. This precarious fruit basket that looks like it's about to fall off the edge of the table. You can practically feel the tension.
Oh, yeah, classic Caravaggio. Always
Yeah.
keeping things interesting. But the real surprise here is, who's actually sitting at the table?
Exactly. Now, the title of the painting, that would have been a dead giveaway for viewers back then.
Yeah.
But this story where the resurrected Jesus appears to his disciples after his crucifixion.
Right.
But they don't recognize him at first.
Of course.
And this is where Caravaggio gets really clever. He paints Jesus in a way that no one was used to seeing at the time.
Oh, that's right. It was a very bold move for the time. It kind of makes you wonder how much of a rebel Caravaggio really was. So instead of that typical, older bearded figure, what do we get?
We get like a younger man, almost a bit, dare I say, plump,
Yeah.
which was unheard of in religious art at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't just to be shocking, to sort of cause a stir.
Right.
Just like those disciples in the painting, the audience, they wouldn't immediately recognize Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
So they experienced that surprise firsthand, along with the disciples in the scene, and it makes that emotional impact of the painting that much stronger, that much more powerful, that much more real.
Wow. I've seen that painting a million times, and I've never thought of it that way. It just goes to show you. But, okay, so we've got hidden identities, surprise reveals. Let's jump ahead a couple of centuries to a different kind of surprise. And this time we're talking ancient Greek tragedy.
Okay, all right.
And specifically, Sophocles' play Oedipus the King.
Oedipus, yes. Now, the surprise here, it isn't about a hidden identity. See,
Okay.
everyone in ancient Greece, they knew the story of Oedipus, how he'd accidentally killed his father and then married his mother, all without knowing who they were.
Right, a classic Greek
It's
tragedy.
very classic, right?
They went to the theater already knowing the truth of his past, so where does the surprise come in? Isn't it just all, downhill from there?
It is. It absolutely is. But Sophocles, he makes this brilliant choice that, I don't know, it heightens the tragedy even more, right?
Sure.
The surprise, it comes from the sheer emotional force of what Oedipus does when that truth is revealed.
Yeah.
And you have to keep in mind, this wasn't even in the original myths.
Oh, wow.
This was Sophocles' own invention. He added that.
Wow, so you're talking about when Oedipus blinds himself. Right.
Exactly.
Okay, talk about a bad day.
I know.
Even by Greek tragedy standards, that's rough.
It's intense. And the audience, they would have been hit with that surprise right alongside Oedipus.
Mm.
He finds out and immediately blinds himself. And the audience is like, whoa, what just happened? And that shared shock, it did likely intensify those feelings of pity and fear, which were, as you know, those core elements of Greek tragedy.
It's true. I mean, it's one thing to hear about something horrible happening, but to witness it, that adds a whole other layer.
It does. It does.
That's fascinating. So it's not just that he made this shocking choice, it's that Sophocles made the audience experience that shock along with the character.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. He understood how powerful that shared experience could be. He's playing with our expectations, manipulating our emotions to make that story resonate on a much deeper level. It's like he's pulling the strings of our heartstrings.
It's true. He is. Okay, so we've talked about a painter from the 1600s and a playwright from ancient Greece. What's the connection? What does a 17th century Italian painter have in common with an ancient Greek playwright? I mean, besides being incredibly talented, obviously.
Right. They both understood the power of surprise to make their art hit harder. And, it's not just them. Think about any movie, any book that's really stuck with you. Chances are it used surprise in some way. I mean, it's this fundamental principle of good storytelling.
That's so true. Which brings us to something I think is worth pondering. We've talked about how artists use surprise, but why are we so drawn to it? What is it about our brains that craves the unexpected? It's a good question and something maybe to, think about.
Yeah, definitely something to chew on.
Absolutely. Until next time.
See you then.